So what we have is, this is a supply, okay, and we have said that, okay, so please note that here I have taken okay, this is not the equation, the 501 is the equation that we have. So this is our equation, okay, right. So what we are saying is, okay, the price of tea is 6 per kg. So price is 6 per kg and the wage rate is 15 per hour. We have intercept as 100. This is the intercept. Coefficient of T is 500. Coefficient of wage is 10. What is the quantity supplied? Quantity supplied would be easily measured over here. It would be intercept at 7 plus you have price of T multiplied with coefficient of T. So you have E8 into H8 plus you have wage multiplied with the coefficient, so you have E9 into H9, right. So plugging those values, we have got quantity supplied as 2750, right. So one supplier, he will supply this much unit. Now let's say we are saying that the price of tea is changed to from 6 to 4, okay. So what will happen if the price reduces? He will supply less unit, okay. So it has decreased by 2, so he will supply 1000 unit less, so 1750 is the quantity supplied. Now think about if the wage is increased to $25, okay, so the quantity supplied is further reduced, right. If the wage increases to $35, the quantity supplied is further reduced, right. And if the price of the tea is now made to be 8, okay, he will increase the supply, right. So this is what we are seeing, the changes in the quantity supplied, okay. So you can very well answer the questions that we have asked to you over here, okay. So now let us see what we want is, we want to have supply as a function of its own price, okay. So in demand we have said that other things remaining constant, what is the quantity demanded as a function of price. Similarly here we want to have the quantity demand supplied. So how the supply, so we want to have the supply of a product depends on only one factor. So here what we do is we fix the wage level, okay, and we say that until this is revised, so wage is remaining constant, okay. So wage is remaining constant at 15 per hour. We want to know that what is the quantity of tea demanded. So quantity of tea supplied. We want to know what is the quantity of tea supplied, right. So what we have is quantity of tea supplied. This was the equation. We will substitute the wage 15 over here. So we have 150 and this is 100. So combining we have 250 plus 500 into price of tea. This is the quantities of the supply, right. So this is the equation that we have. So supply will depend on the price of tea as only one of the factors. So only one of the factor we have is the price of tea. Now we see that the supply of tea is positively related to the price of tea. As the price increases, the quantity supplied will be increasing, correct, okay, right. Now what we have is, please note that this was the supply, that was a supply function. We want to know the supply curve, okay. So please note that for getting the supply curve we have to have price as a function of quantity. So we had this, we had the function of, okay, so please remember that, okay, we had this, okay, let us, okay, so this is our quantity supplied, okay. So quantity supplied as a function of price. I want to know how the price is dependent on the quantity, so that this I can draw the curve. So this is known as the supply curve. Please note that supply curve is price as a function of quantity. So what we can do is we can shift this to this side. So we say that 500 into price of tea is equal to quantity supplied of tea plus 250, right. And bringing this coefficient over here, we can say that price of tea is 1 by 500 into quantity of tea supplied plus 250 by 500. So this will imply it is 0.002 quantity supplied of T plus half, which is 0.5. So the price of T is given as this. So this is your supply curve, right? So our supply curve is given as 0.00 T plus. So we have this as the inverse supply function, okay, or the supply curve. So this is the inverse function that we have. Okay. Now if you see this inverse function, we have written in the Excel, we have put this inverse function. So what is the coefficient of Q? The coefficient of Q is 0.002 and intercept is 0.5. Now if you see, we are changing, we want to know how much is the quantity that we are demanding, what is the price at different quantity levels. So here we want to know when the quantity is 1, what is the price. So when the quantity is 1, we have the same thing, we are saying 0.002 into D19 or quantity 1. So 0.002 is E15 into D19 is 1 plus 0.5, which is over here. So we have the equation we have got. Okay, so if you bring this equation down, so we drag it down, so we'll see that it gets repeated for different quantities. So what we have is the quantity and the price, and if we draw the graph, okay, so if taking these two, if you draw, we get this as a supply curve. So you see that the supply curve is dependent on the x-axis we have the quantity. So in the x-axis we have this quantity, and on y-axis we have the price, right? So as the price is increasing, the quantity is also increasing. So please note that this is for one supplier. We say that, okay, when you are selling 10 quantity, the price that he is going to charge is 0.52, right? So that is the price supply curve, right? So it is increasing, and what we have is demand curve. We saw that it was downward sloping, okay, but the supply curve is upward sloping. So this is upward sloping curve, correct? Right, so this is your upward sloping curve. Okay. Now like similar to what we had discussed in the demand, where we are saying that there is a movement along the demand curve and there is a changes in the demand curve. Please note that when you change the price, okay, when you change the price, the movement you will see is along the demand curve. So when you are changing these prices, you will see that there is a movement along the demand curve. So let us put this over here, and let's say we have price as 0.8. Okay, so price is 0.8, and let's say the quantity demanded is 140. Right? So just assuming 140, 150. So we have, this is the price. When the price is 0.8, the quantity supplied is 150. So supplier will supply 150 as a quantity. Now when you are increasing the price to 1, okay, you will find that the quantity supplied has increased. So it is for the benefit of the supplier to increase the supply. So what we see is we have moved from this point to this point on the supply curve. So this is the movement along the supply curve. So this is movement along the supply curve. It will happen because of the changes in the price. Okay, the changes in the price of the good. Okay, then you will see the movement along the supply curve. Right. However, what happens is if you change the input, cost, let's say here the input cost was wage, then you do not see this as the movement along. In fact, you will see that there is a shift. Okay, so